I've had the opportunity to try out a lot of great gear in 2023, and I figured I would run through some of my favorite equipment that I have picked up this year in this video. Not only that, but to celebrate hitting 10,000 subscribers on the channel, I'll be giving away what has become my favorite lens of 2023. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video to find out how to enter. And alongside talking about my favorite gear pickups of this year, I'm also going to mention my kind of wish list for 2024, which is either things that I want to pick up or I would like to see from manufacturers. Anyway, let's get started with the obvious one, which is my favorite camera of 2023, which is without a doubt the Canon EOS R8. I've just fallen in love with the Canon R8, mainly down to its small size and weight, but it doesn't sacrifice on any image quality as it shares the same sensor as the R6 Mark II. It's just a joy to use for things like travel or street photography or just day-to-day photography in general, and it has really given my Fujifilm X100V a run for its money, and it's becoming the camera that I grab the most. I recently released a full review of the Canon R8, so make sure to check that out if you want me to go into more details about the specs and the overall performance of this camera. But in general, it has just amazing image quality in photo, it has great colors, super sharp photos, but it's also no slouch in video too. The video image quality is some of my favorite. The 4K 25p is super sharp, and the 50p is incredible. It is really sharp. It beats out my Canon R5, for example, and probably my C72. So yeah, it's become probably my most recommended camera to people that want to get into the RF mount and that aren't professional shooters. If you don't need dual card slots, for example, it's hard not to recommend the Canon R8. It is just such a great all-around camera. My camera-related wish for 2024 is I really want to see Canon release a retro version of the Canon R8 in a similar vein to what Nikon have done with the recently released ZF. I would just really love to see that same sensor from the Canon R8 in a body styled similar to the Canon AE1, for example. I would buy that instantly because I really love cool looking different cameras. And I really love that AE1 look, so I really hope we see Canon do something like that in 2024. So now on to my favorite lens of 2023, which is an easy one. It's the one that I've enjoyed using the most, and that is the Canon RF 28mm 2.8 prime pancake lens. I've just loved using this lens, especially with a camera body like the Canon R8. If you have a smaller camera body, say the R8 or the RP, this lens just pairs perfectly with it for things like travel and street photography. And although it is pretty cheap and small and lightweight, it does not sacrifice on image quality, and it's actually one of the sharper prime lenses that I have tested on Canon in recent memory. Personally, I've always been a fan of a 28mm prime lens. I prefer it over 24mm and 35mm most of the time for things like environmental portraiture and travel and just day-to-day use in general. And I like it for travel and environmental portraiture because 28mm captures plenty of the environment, but that 2.8 aperture means that if you are focusing on a subject in the foreground, you still get decent background separation. I've had no complaints when it comes to autofocus with this lens too, whether that's for portraiture or street photography, where you're often trying to capture fleeting moments. This lens has no problem latching on quickly, and the results are super sharp when it does. 28mm is a really versatile focal length for video, and in the video department, the autofocus is no slouch in this lens too. It tracks really easily and it's a quiet focuser too, which I do really appreciate in video. Now for my lens wish for 2024, I really want to see Canon release a few more fast L series prime lenses, particularly a 24mm, a 28mm and a 35mm prime lens. Now I've read rumors that these lenses, Canon plan for them to be a maximum 1.2 aperture, and as great as that is, I would personally rather see Canon stick to 1.4 because I would rather see them keep the weight of these lenses lower and the price of these lenses lower, because the 1.2 lenses tend to cost a fortune, and for these wide angle lenses I really think 1.4 is enough, and I'd rather they be lightweight and cheaper. So favorite backpack of 2023, and I am guilty of having a whole bunch of honeymoon phases with different camera backpacks, but there is one that I just tend to always gravitate back to and just find it a really reliable and easy to use camera backpack, and that is the Peter McKinnon Everyday Camera Backpack from Nomadic. This bag just works for me for a few reasons, and reason one comes down to comfort. So I owned the original Peter McKinnon pneumatic camera bag, I think it was called the travel camera bag, and found it to just be so uncomfortable, and I didn't enjoy using that bag at all, and the zips were terrible, they would just get stuck all the time. But this one has been my main travel camera backpack this year, and I have filled it to the brim with multiple camera bodies, sometimes a C70 as well, when traveling through new cities and hiking. And the comfort is just the best in terms of any camera bag I have used so far. And reason two is that most of my lenses go in this backpack stood up. You don't have to lay them down like you do in most camera bags, which means you can pack more equipment. And that's something I really like in a camera bag. And reason three is that it has top access, which just happens to be my personal favorite way of getting quick access to my camera. But it doesn't have any side access, so if you're into side access, this is not going to be the camera backpack for you. I can actually fit my Canon C70 and 15-35 in the top section of this backpack, so that is huge for me when I'm out and about filming. I don't really have a camera backpack wish for 2024, to be honest, and I should probably just stop buying camera backpacks in general because it's becoming a bit of a problem at this point. But Shimoda have just announced a new camera backpack. I think it's called the Urban Explore backpack. And that really does look like almost the perfect camera bag for me. So that might have to be something I pick up in 2024 when it's released onto the market and give that one a try. Okay, so I hate tripods, but I have to admit that one of my best purchases I've ever made, not just this year, is the Peak Design travel tripod. I don't have the carbon fiber version, it is just the aluminium version, but I've traveled quite a lot with this tripod now, and I really appreciate the engineering Peak Design have put into this product to cut down the size and weight. It's just really well thought out, and I really don't like how bulky a lot of other manufacturers make their travel tripods. This one from Peak Design just slots into most water bottle holders in backpacks. I've even just thrown it in my suitcase before when traveling, but at the same time it doesn't seem to sacrifice on any of the sturdiness. It's really well built. I have knocked it around and used it on beaches and things like that, and although the levers are a little crunchy now, it still performs flawlessly. And I don't have a wish list for a tripod next year. Hopefully this is the last tripod I ever have to buy. Okay, so I think that's my favorite gear of this year. So please let me know down in the comments what has been your favorite gear that you have picked up in 2023. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, the main reason for this video, to be honest with you, is to give away this Canon RF 28mm pancake lens. I'm giving this away to say thank you for all the support this year, as 10,000 subscribers was a milestone I definitely never expected to be able to reach. And it is all down to you guys that I have got to this point with this channel. I've actually got so much more use out of this lens, and it is definitely one of my favorite Canon primes right now. And if you happen to have any travels planned next year, then this is just your perfect companion for it. I own and use this lens all the time, but you won't be getting my old knocked up lens. You will be getting a brand new sealed lens, if the camera will focus. And to enter the giveaways taking place over on my Instagram, I put up a reel announcing the giveaway, and all you have to do is head to that reel, leave a comment, like the reel, and follow me on Instagram to be in with a chance of winning this lens. And I will announce the winner at random on January the 15th. So yeah, thank you guys again so much for getting me to 10,000 subscribers. Good luck if you decide to enter the competition to win this lens. And if you celebrate it, I hope you guys have a great Christmas, a great holiday period, and I will see you all in the new year.